Zero and moved on fully to Time Loop, and you told me I'd be coming back to Assetto Corsa. I probably told you were full of it. But then I find out Assetto Corsa Competizione is a waste of space, and I have no interest in owning the game as much as I love GT3 racing, just because it's not really doing much that GT Sport or Project Cars 2 couldn't do. I'm not even going to talk about Project Cars 3, but at any rate, I'm back in Assetto Corsa for a new kind of series. One with a little more presentation, a little more, not really effort, but I mean, yeah, kinda, because I had to put an effort in for the editing. We start up the game here. Welcome to the Challenge series, named for the little bonus game modes you'd find in the older Need for Speed games, such as Most Wanted and Carbon, and I think Undercover. But don't quote me on that. Thing is beeping in my house, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if the mic picked that up or not, but we are beginning a brand new kind of series. The series is split into 7 tiers, A through F, and then the final S tier, with the very fastest cars that this game has to offer within reason. It's not the very fastest, because really the very fastest cars they can't really be balanced too well, you know? You can maybe have a close race between the LMP1 cars, but the only vehicle you could feasibly race the Ferrari F138 against is Ferrari F138s. Or this really goes for just about any one of the open-wheeled cars in this game. But at any rate, for the first tier, with the slowest vehicles and shortest race distances, this championship will be using tracks that aren't even in normal tiers, even back in Universe Zero. For example, the International Circuit at Silverstone, the Indy Circuit at Brands Hatch, and the National Circuit at Red Bull Ring. Which we will probably not be seeing those layouts ever again after this championship. We have the lowest power vehicles slowest cars. This is kind of easing your way in. If you've ever played a Gran Turismo game, you know how you have to start off the game in like some used car that you bought for $7 grand. It's kind of like that, except these cars are all pretty much factory fresh. And it would actually be more fitting if we went this way. So the first vehicle, this is the way that it's going to order. We have some of these characters are kind of suspension of disbelief. I'm just going to start the first race, not waste a ton of time, and mention characters as they come and go. Oh goodness. We are on the starting grid of the first race here at the MotoGP layout, I can speak, of Barcelona, Catalunya. A familiar name to anyone who knows me, or has known me for more than 5 minutes. Neiichiro Kawashiro has the pole in the randomized grid. Shoji Hakure, Miyako Akatsumi, John Christensen, Gino Turini, Scott Webber, James Stillwell, Akira Taniguchi, myself, self-insert, Hikari Taniguchi, Cameron Walker, Isabella Flynn, Darius Spirelli, Taylor Lynn, and Natsuki Narashi rounds out the grid. We'll get to learn and we'll get to know more of these characters, their inspirations, their backgrounds, etc. as the series goes on, but first, it's time for just racing. Let's follow Scott Webber in his Nissan 370Z. Move it over to try and get closer to the racing line. A vehicle that'll have an advantage off starts, as you can see, are the Ford Mustangs on the grid. Italy and Thrasher, as he prefers to be called. Using that American horsepower to get away much better. However, that won't last them too long because the weight of the Mustang is going to allow something like the maneuverable BMW Z4 to get right back to their bumpers for just a moment. That isn't how you do it. He's looking more towards the back. Darius did not have his greatest start. He got passed by the Lotus Elise up there of Taylor. And that's like he's working him around the outside, but I don't... Yeah, she's not going to be able to get that one done. He's instead totally killed her movement out of that corner and will lose a lot of ground for that. Miyako is just barely hanging on to the Stangs, but I think that's just kind of inevitable at this point. I don't think those two can be caught with the start they got. Everyone seems to be kind of holding stations so far. Catalunya is a track that is known to be like kind of difficult to overtake at. So perhaps it isn't too much of a surprise that, you know, they're not overtaking very easily. You need to have a lot of horsepower going down the front straightaway or back straightaway if you wish to overtake here. I see Cameron has already damaged his car a little bit. He must have nudged somebody. It looks like that somebody might be me. There are no other BMWs, so it's very Noah's Arkian right now. The only cars that are really separated are the Supras and the RX-7s. Gina started a good ways ahead of me on the grid, and Darius and Akira started very far apart. So kind of look at one of the in-series conspirators of the Challenge series. Gina Turini, an Italian girl who moved with her parents to Yokohama when she was about 7. After she turned 16, got a job at a mechanic's place, and it wasn't long before she bought her first car, which was an old FC generation RX-7. After owning a sportier car like that, she quickly took to street racing on the mountain toge roads known for their drift racing past 10 o'clock at night. After getting soundly thrashed by a couple of other RX-7 drivers on a mountain one night, the team she was on disbanded and she was just kind of left there. But she instead decided to go and join the... She instead wanted to kind of enter the regional championships. They have different names depending on where you are. And eventually found she had won all 6 regions. And then she got herself a new FD RX-7, and the rest is history. She used that car to go through the divisional championships, and that got the attention of Mazda, which they then gave her an LM race car to challenge for the GT World Championships. She took those with ease, and conspired with myself and Nutri to create the Challenge series. At least, well, mainly those two. There were a couple of others involved, but not many. I believe I may have taken Akira into turn 1 there. The coupes are hot on Thrasher's heels, but I don't think they've got the engine power to keep up once we get down out of turn 9. It isn't like, as I said before, it's not exactly unexpected that Barcelona is a bit of a procession. Being aggressive at this track really doesn't have many rewards, because a lot of corners just kind of go back and forth. I mean, yeah, great, you can, I mean, unless you dive into the hairpin or basically slide job turn 1, you'll have to hang it around the outside for turn 2, for example. And in this absolute blowout of a race, Hideki Kawashiro was untouched by even the other Mustang driver. The main engineer of the series takes the first win of the series. Arrived at round 2, the Short Highlands circuit in Scotland will play host to the second round as we start on the cobblestone streets. Isabella Flynn, who really did not have a good result in the previous round, coming in about 13th, I would say, is your pole sitter. Nitori is not in an unworkable starting grid spot, especially with the horsepower that she and Thrasher, who she shares that row with, or the 5th row of the grid with, can use down some of the longer straightaways of this track. However, the Lotus has the cornering ability to maybe hold on to that as it reaches another turn. It's a very cloudy morning here in Scotland. Let's watch from the perspective of our championship leader as she attempts to negotiate the pack and attempt to gain a further advantage in the points. However, the race starts through city streets and it is very difficult to gain an early advantage anywhere here. This will be one of the shorter races, I do believe. As, oh yeah, this is not going to be a very long race. I probably should have looked at how long it is before setting it to 2 laps. Yeah, this is going to be a 2-minute long race. I did not realize. Not even 2. So there's not going to be much time for shuffling around here. She's just trying to stay in the points, and I don't think she will be able to, as the Z4 will out-corner her there. Still alongside, and Hikari and Thrasher are too wide. Didri curb hopping like a maniac to try and get this place. John withdraws from the skyline, and Nidori may be forced to do the same with Miyako. Ooh, Miyako sends it way too hard, bounces off the wall, but actually still gets the momentum out of that turn. As Isabella, I think, is going to take a pretty comfortable win, and that Z4 is out of the range. So, a bit of a blindside race. Did not expect it to be this short of a course, but Isabella apparently was. I will take a 3rd place. So I overtook Natsuki in the short event that was. Only about a 2-minute event. And I had the fastest car on the track according to that time. Well, not really what Nidori needed. But to be fair, Actually, no, there's no to be fair about it. This is very bad for her, because the 370Z's got 2nd and 5th, so I think your points leader will most likely be Scott Weber. And indeed it is, by exactly 1 point. The scoring system here... Oh, it's only top 8 here. Okay, well, I may have to change that later. So, yeah, it's only top 8 score here, not top 10. It's supposed to be 15... it's supposed to be, you know, top 10 score. I guess it'd be 15, 12, 10 later. Not 10 for the winner. It's supposed to... I don't know. I guess it does make sense. It is kind of a beginner type thing. It is like kind of almost like the Sunday Cup, in a way. Anyway, next race, Silverstone International. We're here now on the grid of the Silverstone International circuit. Hikari Taniguchi is your pole sitter, and it is a very Japanese front row, and even Japanese top 4 if you look at the vehicles involved at least. Both Hikari and Shoji find their homes in Tokyo, Japan. And it's the well, Maranello-born Gino Turini, and then myself from Minnesota. Now, while these characters are mostly fictional, unless specified otherwise, a lot of them do have basis on other things. Some drivers don't. Shoji Hakare is based off of, if anyone knows, Toho Project. Shares the last name with Reimu Hakare, the main character of that franchise. And each of these drivers do have mildly detailed storylines, also the correct number of laps, because I know what the international circuit of Silverstone looks like. As I'm currently fending off Cam, who must have used the all-wheel drive in that Audi Quattro to get the jump on Gina. Does she have any kind of answer? It doesn't really seem like it from back here. John will effortlessly blow past Isabella and take himself up to 6th. Nidori behind, already up 4 places from the start. Let's actually get a look at that start from her, because she must have been on fire as we began the race. So we have the roll off here. She started 13th. She's going to take it around the outside of Darius, it looks like there. Unusual track limits, but Natsuki will give her the space, and she'll take 11th. 2 places in 2 corners. More curve hopping, but she will get herself on the inside of Akira, who had a really bad exit. And then send it on Miyako to take revenge from the Highlands and use her straight line speed to eventually overtake the BMW down the strip. You now look back to someone. More creative track limits from these AI. I see somebody is way off. Taylor just went all-terrain vehicle, as I saw on the map down there. This has not been Gina's finest start. And Shoji doesn't seem to have much of an answer for Hikari yet. Bit of a background, we already gave Gina the second character to join shown series, Hikari Taniguchi, longtime adorer of the Nissan GTR family. His parents tell me his parents tell him he cried for an hour the night that he woke up to his 18th birthday, and there was an old R32 sitting in his driveway. Why did he cry? I don't know. But at any rate, he lives with his brother Akira, still does. And that is how they know each other, obviously. They're the same last name, Forehead. Akira is actually technically a character inspired from Thrasher and his giant spreadsheet of characters that have a similar concept to these, but do not have, you know, any kind of, not really substance per se, but they don't have the same kind of, they know not the same substance, because they're not in a YouTube series, except for the ones that I've selected to be a part of it. Asher's trying to get himself into a spot to overtake Gina. I think if you can just exit these next couple of corners fine, his straight line speed should get her, or should get him around her pretty easily. But Hikari would always watch the Japanese Grand Prix with his brother, and who knew they'd both turn into race car drivers? Well, Akira more to a race car drifter, but you know, same idea, professional driver of vehicles. But Hikari took more to the professional approach. As GT 500 champion in Super GT. Showed he looked a little desperate for a second, but couldn't convert anything. And nor could Thrasher convert anything on anybody in front of him. So it's going to be very processional around Silverstone, as now Hikari is your winner. Yuri might have had a nice start, but she couldn't get herself any higher from there, and thus she still scores 0 points. Gina was the fastest car on track. I think because of these shorter races, we can probably do more in one go. So we will probably attempt to reach 5 races in this first episode. Next, the junior course of Classic Monza. Very simple track. On Classic Monza's starting grid for the junior course, which if I remember right is like literally only, I want to say like 4 turns. And this is always a weird starting grid because it's not in the typical 2x2x2x2 formation. No, it's like by 3s. Or 2x3x2x3. It's weird. James Stillwell is on the pole. And Nidori will be much happier with this starting position than she was before. Thrasher did not get the same luck, however. Front wheel, it's a 4-wheel drive front row, and yeah, you can see just how weird this looks. And Cam uses that Audi's acceleration to take off. James didn't seem to do anything wrong on that start, but he's still got to play some catch-up. Gina had a good start, but she's going to do a bit of lawn mowing as she fends off Akira. Nidori looks for a pretty easy move there on Spirelli in his Toyota. And she should probably move back over, but she's not going to. John and Hikari are fighting. As Thrasher looks to both, or overtake both Taniguchis in one straightaway. And I think he's got the horsepower to do precisely that. I am not pleased with my starting position, however, the underpowered AE86 of Natsuki is not too much of a match for the Dorito engine. I thought it was 3 wide up there for a moment, but no. As Nidori has since passed James, and now looks to track down that rampant Audi. Got a pretty big deficit there. power difference isn't actually all that much between the Mustang and the Audi. They were reaching about the same speed down that back straight. Meanwhile, in more of the mid-pack area, we've got 2x2 a bit here as we Nissan's battle, and the Mazda just kind of exists, that Mazda being me. Oh, Vanitteri's lap time was way faster just there. 7/10 gained on a single lap, but that's not fast enough at this rate. Gina has overtaken James. Did not quite catch that. As I attempt to take 10th from Shoji, but that's still not quite points. Thrasher will now effortlessly overtake the Supra. I don't think Vanitteri's got enough time. Were this a 5-lap race, I would almost say it's possible. But she's going to run out of time here. She's got the gap down to a second, unless she does something crazy into Parabolica, the final corner of the track. She is at his taillights, however, the acceleration of the Audi is going to be a difficult match for that Mustang, either way you spin it. John took James into T1, but I don't think he'll have time to get any higher. The acceleration is going to keep Cam ahead as they enter the final turn. I'm pretty sure it's going to be all for him. Yeah, there's nothing she can do now. She's out of time. So Cameron Walker is going to win at the classic Monza circuit. Him and Nitteri far removed from anybody else. Gina will take a podium. And despite qualifying on pole, Stillwell really did not convert that much into that much. Managing 5th, but nothing more. And that's the key he had a race to forget. Severely lacking horsepower and having the slowest lap by almost a second. As we are through 4 rounds, we will look at the point standings. By a singular point, that is not much of a separation between anybody. Nitteri is the points leader by 1 over Shoji, then Thrasher with 1 less. Another point back from that is Cam. Then yet another point for Gina, who is tied with me as both RX-7 drivers. And then Isabella and Weber, Scott Weber, are tied at 12. Kari is outscoring his brother quite a bit, 11-6. And the only driver with no points on the board is Taylor, as we head into the short Black Cat County circuit, which I know for a fact this track is a little longer than Highlands, and yet I still put it on more laps because I'm just full of bright ideas, aren't I? Waypoint of this championship. The dusty old desert roads of Black Cat County. I do believe that is a place supposed to be in Arizona? Don't quote me on that. And the double R34 front row, followed by our points leader, Nitteri. And her main points rivals of Thrasher and Shoji are nowhere in sight as we look at the starting grid here. Cam is the only person who poses a threat to her in the championship that's really nearby. Especially considering I expect that Mustang to make pretty easy work of those skylines. Well, she's already made work of 1. And as much as 4-wheel drive is great and all, Its acceleration is not a handicap, but she is already to the lead before we even reach the first turn. She's gonna overdrive herself, but I think she's still fine. Natsuki got racy with Miyako. Apparently, well, the 8.6 is supposed to be more of a cornering specialist. It's not gonna do much good on a straightaway, so you gotta take advantage of the corners while you got them. And now it's Darius looking for a move on fellow Toyota driver. He's not going to find anything yet. Oh, never mind. He hung around the outside and now he's going to have the inside here. But, oh, good lord. Excuse me. And Darius squeezed her all the way to the wall. But Natsuki just didn't care. As I will find the inside line on Akira. That becomes the outside, but I'm still hanging there. Will I convert? Something, will Gina convert up there? Can she defend? She'll defend from Cam and then also pass Darius at the same time up there. Hikari's still holding fast in second. However, James has since lost out to the BMW. Cameron looking for a pass on that Supra, as the lighting on the mountains back there just kind of loses control of itself. You'll have to put it on the outside. These hairpins are slow enough to where you can get away with that, but he'll be left with no choice as now Darius attacks Gina in the RX-7. So we'll just have to withdraw that attempt. But in an attempt to pass Gina to defend himself from Cameron, now he's left himself more vulnerable, and that's an easy place, maybe even two. Indeed, 2 places for Cam, exiting 1 turn. And Miyako is right on those taillights. Taylor and Thrasher going... Nope. Yep, Taylor and Thrasher are going too wide. Thrasher is going to easily pass Taylor, as is Scott Webber. Thrasher is then going to convert that into an attempted overtake on me, which he'll also make. So Thrasher effectively gets 2 places in 1 corner as well. Mustang pulls further off into the sunset using all of that American horsepower. And that was pretty much a race for second between Hikari and Miyako. Natsuki's body panel is a little bit damaged from when Darius just about body slammed her. They never collided, but Natsuki pretty much had to hit that wall or there was going to be even more damage done. Taylor with a bit of rear end damage, and has now fallen to last, being overtaken even by her fellow Lotus driver, Isabella Flynn. Just kind of look for another character to give. Shoji was also in a crash at some point. Now I'll have to look in the replay, see when that has happened. I don't know. He's had this damage for a while, so we will not be able to point out when it was. Possibly the same spot that Natsuki got damage from being shoved around, or being forced wide by Darius. I'd have to assume. The Shoji comes from a long line of bizarre humans. The maiden line, except he's not a girl, so that really doesn't apply. Still, He was designated as the future heir to the protector of the barrier, as I thought I saw some close racing up here. No, my eyes are just fooling with me. But that all kind of changed when his childhood home was attacked by a bunch of weird dress-wearing monster girls, and he managed to escape with some weird portal thing his mother created for him. But Shoji has absolutely no idea what happened to his parents. Given the nature of, or given the appearance of the attackers, you wouldn't think they would do anything other than ask for a hug. But he knows what those things are capable of, and he has still no idea how or if or how his parents got out of there. And add to the sob story as now Thrasher will attack Shoji, and being that he will have the inside for this hairpin, should get that done. And yes, as much as I wanted to give my 2 cents, there was no room. Maka still found no solution for that Nissan. Either way, this is still a good score for her. Midori is barely even on the screen. She is but a collection of a single-digit number of pixels on the horizon, as she has gotten herself almost a 6-second lead over Hikari there in second. And Nitori, who Shoji has grown quite close to over the last few years. Or a few years, what am I saying? A few weeks. Challengers hasn't existed for that long. Claims to know of him, and also claims that he had a sister. And Akira just does not have pace right now. He is in dead last, and it's not even like he crashed. His car is undamaged, so I don't know what happened to him, but he is off pace. It's not just the car, because, well, there's a Supra running 7th right now. Which, I mean, that's down only 1 from where he started, so... If anything, Weber's the one that's looking hurt. I don't know what happened here either. I'm sure we won't find out either. Oh, we might. Yeah, his car looks normal there. He must get punted, like, pretty shortly here. Yep. Just gets nudged by Isabella Flynn, and he attempted but could not keep that spot. I don't want to drive the car. How dare you assume I want to drive in my racing games? Silly are you? Is the insatiable lead that Nitori has over second place. She's been on another level in this first half of the championship. She'll be the first driver, she'll be the only driver to have won multiple times. And I think she's only missed out on points one time. No, two, because she started 13th at Monza and almost made her way in there anyway, but only managed... No, it's not Monza. I'm bad. As Miyako last second is going to get a chance at second place. They're a dead heat as they reach second to last turn here. But being on the outside of that hairpin is just not it, and as such Hikari will defend his second place. But there's nothing that they could do against Nidori, who will win by a comfortable, probably like 9 seconds, I would probably guess. 8.3. This will do it for this recording. The first half of the first championship of Challenge Series. And even though I know the points leader, we will look at the point standings. Now by 8 points, Nidori leads over Cam. Another point back is Hikari, and then Gina and Shoji are tied for 4th with 17. Thrasher has 6th with 16, and I have 7th with 14. Taylor is still yet to put on any points as we head into the second half of this championship.